Hi, this is Margo. This is Wednesday evening, November the 20th, 2019, and I've been trying to get this video done all day but I've been interrupted with things and just got sidetracked with things, but I've had the stuff ready to go. So we're going to do a methane update, and we've got CAMS data. The latest CAMS data is from yesterday, the 19th. We also have NOAA data. I decided to take it from yesterday, and because they didn't have any images for Tues satellite over the weekend for 3 days. So anyway, it's been a little longer than a week with the data, but we'll deal with it. I'll show you all that. I've also got a sea ice update. We'll look at some earthquakes, and then we'll also look at Climate Reanalyzer. So first of all, we're on Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website. It's out of the EU. We're looking at methane. I have it pulled up for Tuesday, which was yesterday the 19th. Have the Arctic view pulled up and surface level pulled up. Now you can get all different weird colors and stuff when you change the level, like total column and 500 HPA and things like that. So we'll be looking at a couple of those levels besides surface level in a little bit here. And something new I noticed in the last couple of days on CAMS, they have outlined the countries with, it depends on the color that's in the background, but we can now see Greenland. We can see like a gray line around Greenland, and Canada is all outlined over here. Here's Alaska, so it's a little bit easier to see the countries. Also, you'll see when we go on the global view, where it's that dark blue, where they've got Australia outlined, and you can actually see the countries now. So they did do an improvement, so I just want you to see that. And the color ledger is down here. So let's go ahead and run this movie. This is for the Arctic region. The data is from Tuesday, and then the forecast period runs Wednesday through Saturday. Now here's Greenland. So we're just letting this run. Here's Novaya Zemlya. It's actually, to me, I think I remember, I'll have to go back and look at some of my older videos, but I think they had black lines around the edges, and that was a lot easier to see. But what we're seeing here is a lot of orange and yellow as a background color, and then we're seeing the large releases of methane in the darker color, like the red and the red-brown. And it's actually not as much as it had been. I know that it had been a lot higher earlier, I mean like last week, but it changes a lot from day to day, just depending on the temperature and season and the tilt of the earth and different things that are happening. But we are seeing this arm coming out, this orangey color coming out all the way across the Kara Sea, and I can definitely say that it's harder to see these coastlines and these edges. So whatever they did, it was an improvement in some ways, but in other ways we can't really see the outline of where the sea, the water meets the land that well, at least not with the green color. Over here in the Laptev Sea, we're seeing some higher releases, and the Chukchi Sea, here's a little bit higher release off the coast of Siberia. And also in the forecast period, we're seeing releases. This is Svalbard. You're going to see a release there, and high release off of Iceland as well. So it's still releasing, even though it's moving into winter time, but it's not as bad as it was. And when we look at the NOAA data, we did see methane go down in this time period that I'll be showing you. So I had some comments. People were kind of freaked out when they saw Robin's video, and it was a silent movie, and you know, unless you know what you're looking at, and it's pointed out really clearly what the levels are and everything. Silent movies are good in some respects, but in other respects, for people who are not familiar with looking at these things, you know, it can freak them out. So I don't want anyone to get freaked out. I've not seen a blowout, and I've been documenting these the methane. Every time I see new methane data on CAMS, I document it, and I put it on Subscribestar for my members over there as a little short video. But I haven't seen a blowout, and I'm actually seeing less. For a while there, we were seeing India all covered up into the dark brown, and but we're seeing less there. We're still seeing high releases in the Indian Ocean. We're still seeing high releases over China and Asia, and coming on up here into Russia, but and Europe, it's and high releases across here. There's an area here in Siberia and Russia that it's always releasing, and that seems to be releasing a little bit less now. But we're also seeing high releases in the United States and North America and this kind of surprises me, because they had that huge cold front move through, and it's still cold, but they had lots of precipitation, and I guess that triggered the methane release. So this is the North Pole view, so we can see pretty much the whole northern hemisphere here. But we are seeing the waves moving out and across, even across the Pacific, across the Atlantic. Now I'm going to hop over to the North America view. We're still seeing high releases in California. Here's California. The whole state's pretty much covered up. And here's the Gulf Coast area, and then coming up the Mississippi Valley region, and this eastern part of the United States. Here's Florida, and so forth. So if we run this movie, so just so you know, the color ledger, this dark brown is, the range is from 2160 to 10,000 parts per billion. And then this dark red is 2140 to 2160, and so on. When you get into the orange region, that's 2080. This bright red is 2100, and when you get into the greens, that's around 2000 and down. So this chartreuse color is 2000 to 2020. So we're seeing a lot of release from Florida here in the forecast period. It's pretty much covered up in those dark colors. So whenever you have a lot of precipitation, and especially in densely populated areas, you're going to see high methane release. Look at this wave just move out across the Atlantic. Remember, this is surface level. It's moving out from the Gulf, in this Gulf of Mexico region too. We can see up here in the northwest, in the Seattle and Vancouver region, that's always a high area. Look at this, watch this blob that moves out. This is San Francisco area here. Watch this blob as it moves out. Here we go. It kind of pulsates and moves out, and look at that. At the very end of the forecast period, there's a huge blob moving down. So we still have a lot of methane releasing, but typically the methane releases start to go down at the beginning of winter time in the northern hemisphere, and then they start going back up in the springtime. So that's what we're seeing here again. So let's go back to the beginning, and now let's go to our global view. So yeah, they changed. Instead of seeing the black lines up here, which is, now it's like this gray color, so it's kind of hard to see. But the gray stands out down here in this dark blue, and so we can now see the outline of the Antarctic all along here. We can see here's the outline of South America, here's Africa, Madagascar, here's Australia, New Zealand. So those areas we can see the boundary lines better. Look at this little area releasing. Isn't that strange? I don't think there's anything there. So it's just another thing, whenever they change something, it makes one thing easier and another thing not quite so easy to see. We can see high releases over here in New Zealand and around the coastlines of Australia. They've still got fires burning. Look at that, bursting up there. That's where the fires are burning. Now we can go to, if you want to see 500 HPA, that's about 18,000 feet. It's about halfway up in the atmosphere. We can see how now at the different levels it's going to gather at different amounts. Now once you change the level to get the correct color ledger, you have to refresh, and these numbers overlap, but this high number is 2360. So this is what it looks like at 500 HPA. So we can see that at that level it gathers mainly in the northern regions, but we do have some higher readings down here around Asia and China, and here's an area in Russia, and here it is over the North Atlantic. Also down here in the Arabian Sea. Now if we change it to total column, I've been really watching that. I'm interested in seeing total column, and now we'll refresh so we can get the correct color ledger. Here the color ledger, the high number is 2320, like in the other one. So total column is the methane all added up from the surface up. And so what we're seeing is it doesn't look as bad as last week, because we have just a little bit of areas with this dark, with the dark brown. We have the bright red, but the thing is, it's spreading out through the column. I'm getting hoarse. And we're seeing higher readings further south, even down over the Arctic region. So this chartreusey color is 1820 parts per billion. This bright green would be 1800. That's this color here. That's 1800. So 1820 is along here. The bright red is 1880. That's this color over here. And we can see that it's coming across the Pacific. Now we are seeing these higher readings here over Europe. And that's when you zoom in. Here's some in Saudi Arabia. When you change your viewing area, say we want to look at Europe, this is what it looks like close up. So total column, it's looking worse in some areas and better in other areas. So I'm thinking it's spreading out, just spreading out more. Seeing some high over here. That's Russia there. And if we look at North America, we're seeing the red up here in the northeast, and red down here on the Gulf. We've got some red down here in California, Southern California, and then this red-orange, which is the color right underneath that. That's 1860. Then if you look at let's look at the West Tropic view. And if we look at the Pacific, you can see the red coming over the Pacific Ocean. There it is. Now that was shocking when I saw that. And so we've not seen stuff like this before. I mean, this just recently we've started seeing the total column with it in the reds like this. So we'll go ahead and put this as a backdrop. And now let's go ahead and look at our NOAA data. We've been tracking the NOAA data from the METOP-1 and METOP-2 satellites. They take 2 readings. They each take 2 readings a day, so we have 4 readings a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. So from the METOP-1 satellite in the morning, from the 477 millibar reading level, that's what it says on the GIF that you click, but it says 469 once the picture comes up. The high reading was 2498. The mean was 1884. So the highest is this fuchsia color that goes from 2000 to 2498. So this kind of correlates to the 500 millibar that we saw on CAMS, where we saw it gathering over this northern part. In the afternoon, we have some missing data here in the white areas, and the mean was 1882 and the highest reading was 2508, so that was a little higher. Here's the METOP-2 satellite in the morning. The mean was 1862 and the highest was 2360, so that's quite a bit lower. The METOP-2 satellite is traditionally lower than the METOP-1. Now we have a lot of missing data here, but in the afternoon the mean was 1861 and the highest was 2370. So when we plug those into the spreadsheet, the last time I reported on the NOAA data was on the data from November the 9th, and this is the data from the 19th, so yesterday, because they didn't have data on the METOP-2 satellite for until today, none over the weekend. And so it's been 10 days, so it's gone down. So I plugged all those numbers in and added them up and divided by 4, and it's now 1872.25 as of yesterday. And when we read it 10 days ago, it was 1879.75, so it's actually gone down 7.5 parts per billion, and we can see it on the graph over here. It's taken a sharp drop, and the week before that it had dropped. It's been dropping since our highest reading was from October the 12th, where it was 1885.75, which was right there. And then it just went up a little bit. Yeah, it went up a little bit from the 2nd to the 9th. It went up a 0.75 right there, and now it's gone back down. So we'll see how far down it goes. And this is my first year to be tracking this like this on my own, and I started tracking it with Nostradamus, and then I decided to just do it on my own and just do the one level. He was tracking all these different levels, and but I think we can get a pretty good idea of what it's doing. just from this. So there's that. So we're going to leave all that. Now we'll head on over to our sea ice report. I have taken or downloaded the pictures from Climate Reanalyzer every day that they had sea ice data up. There were 3 days that they didn't have sea ice data. Here it is from today, Wednesday, November 20th, and this is where it is right now. And over here on the Bering Strait and Bering Sea, it's not coming back really fast because it's been really warm up there. This whole area in the Chukchi Sea, you're gonna see that it's having a hard time really coming back at all up there. It's not very thick at all. Also down here in the Baffin Bay, it's come back just a little bit here, and then it's come back on this east side of Greenland down to about here, and this is Iceland over here. So let's go back in our slideshow back to the 12th, which was my last report, and we can see the sea ice. Here's from the 19th, here's the 18th, the 17th, it's the 16th. I accidentally got 2008 in there. Well, that's interesting to see the comparison. That was 2008. Okay, here's 2009. Here's the 15th, 2009, and the 12th. So they didn't put up sea ice for the 13th and the 14th. And I also have been saving the 2-meter temperature anomalies, so I wanted you to see that too. How it's been so warm up there that in the areas where it's really warm, that's where the sea ice is having a hard time coming back. And we can see this bright red area, which is about 20 degrees Celsius higher than normal or higher, and right now, today the Arctic is 3.8 degrees higher than normal. And so if we go back, I'll just click back through. Here it was yesterday. Now we can see the whole Arctic. It's just got this one line that's kind of dividing, that's not quite so red, but the whole Arctic was really red. Greenland is in the brown. Here's the 18th. We can see the whole time it's just too warm up there for the sea ice to do what it's supposed to do. And this is the air temperature. Now on this day, the Arctic was 4 degrees higher than normal. That was the 15th. Here's the 14th, 13th, and here it was on the 12th. So it's not getting a break, really. We'll look at that in a minute. Now I downloaded the images from the Navy website on sea ice thickness, U.S. Navy. Here it is from today. It was read yesterday, and this is the sea ice thickness in the Arctic as of today. And we can see most of it is in the purple where it has come back. So it's lavender to purple, and when it gets into dark purple to blue, that's 1 meter. So dark purple to blue right along in here is the 1 meter. And so this stuff is less than 1 meter. Everything out here, and in lavender is less than 1 meter. And then when it gets up into the aqua, we're getting into 1.5 up to 2 and 2.5. And that's the thicker ice, and just a little bit along in here. We've got, let's blow this up. We've got a little bit of red right here at this tippy point of Greenland. So that's getting into about 4 to 4.5 meters thick. Just a little tiny bit. And so we can safely say that the old sea ice, the old thick sea ice is gone. And so that's eventually the sea ice will not be there anymore. Because with the old thick sea ice gone, it's harder for the ice to refreeze. And then more melts in the melt season and so forth. Oh, they had an earthquake up here in Greenland today too. I'll show you that. Rare. It was, I mean, I've not seen an earthquake in Greenland. Here's the 30-day animated GIF from the Navy website. It goes back 3 weeks and then projects forward for 1 week. So we can see the main thing that's happened from 3 weeks ago is that it's coming back, but it's thin. And it's having a hard time here from this Bering Strait. And we saw that it's all red up here. So that's the deal. And what's come back here in the Baffin Bay is quite thin. It's starting to come back over here by Novaya Zemlya. This is Svalbard. It's coming back around the north side of Svalbard, or I would, it's hard to say. I'm confused on directions. That would be the east side, I guess. North from my direction here. Anyway. And I made this movie from NASA Worldview for you. This is sea ice concentration. This goes from November the 10th to the 18th. So this picks up where we left off last time. And so where it's the blue, it's less concentrated. So even though we're seeing the ice extent come out, if you look up here in the Chukchi Sea, we can see it gets blue, meaning that it's thinning. It's not looking white and thick. It's, see the blue as it moves along. Okay, I'm going to stop this. That's at the end of the movie, and so we can see that the only white area is just a little bit along in here. This has a lot of blue here, north of Greenland. This is white over here and white along in here in these tributaries. But there's a lot of blue, meaning it's not as concentrated and not as thick. And see here on Svalbard is coming back on this right side, but not on the left side, which is kind of weird. But that's just what we're seeing right now. Here's the Hudson Bay. So we'll leave that. Now we'll go to our websites. We'll go to NASA Worldview in a minute. Here's the National Snow and Ice Data Center Sea Ice Index from the Arctic daily, and I've clicked on concentration. Here it is from yesterday, the 19th, and we can see that it correlates with what we're seeing from NASA Worldview. And here's the graph. This is the sea ice extent, which means how far where there is ice. And we're pretty much tied with 2012, where we were at 2012 this time of year, and that was 2012 was the lowest yet. So it's not looking very good. On the Antarctic, here's our concentration. And it's melting because it's in the sun now. And here's the chart for that. And yet last year, 2018, we had low. And we're below that right now. This is 2019. It's below. So Antarctic sea ice extent, we're at the lowest. So for this time of year, meaning it's melting faster, or it didn't refreeze as much as it normally would have. So there's that. Let's go over to Climate Reanalyzer now, and we'll look at what's going on here. This is from today. Here are maximum temperatures. So here's these purpley colors. This is like minus 30 up here in northern Canada. And here's these areas that are warmer, much warmer than normal. And we can see the green, which is above freezing, above zero. That's about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. As this the Atlantic Ocean comes in. And over here too. So we can see the southern hemisphere is heating up, and they're heading into their summer season. Australia's hot. That's heating up. Definitely. South America, parts of Africa looking pretty hot. Here's our 2-meter temperature anomaly map. We already saw this one from today. Remember, a few days ago we had this cold blast come from the Arctic down across the United States and move across. They're still in the blue on the east side, and we're in the brown on the west side. But I live in Reno, and we got snow last night. I don't think it was much. It's mainly got snow in the mountains, but it rained most of last night. It was raining off and on today, but we can see the world is 0.6 degrees Celsius higher than normal. Northern hemisphere is 0.9 degrees higher than normal. The Arctic is 3.8 degrees higher than normal. Tropics are 0.6 up. Southern hemisphere is 0.3 up. And the Antarctic is 0.9 up. We can see over here, Europe is in the brown. We were seeing a lot of methane coming up in that area too. Parts of Russia are in the brown, but look at this cold, cold area in southern Russia and moving down. So areas are a lot colder than normal and a lot warmer than normal. It's all out of whack. Look at Australia. Now it's red on the bottom here. Here's the Antarctic. So it's in the browns and reds too. Here's our precipitation and cloud cover. We can see the blue is snow in the Arctic. Here's the green, rain. Let's look at the jet stream. Here's our broken up jet stream. Here's it looping around. Here's our sea ice and snow cover. And we can see that a lot of Russia is in the snow, and they get a lot of snow because it's such a northern latitude. And sea surface temperature anomaly. So we can see this where this Bering Sea is, comes up here. It's in the brown, so this is that area where the sea ice is having a hard time here, and we can see it's in the brown up here where the Atlantic's coming in. Look, it's red around Iceland and brown around Greenland. This is where the sea ice is not coming back right there. So North Pacific is 0.6 degrees higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is 0.5 for your sea surface temperature anomaly. Now look at this brown in the Pacific over here. So that's quite warm. So we'll leave that. Now let's go over to NASA Worldview. Here it is from today. I will refresh so I can get the latest data. Still got missing data here coming down. I don't know why that is. I've got the fires layer turned on, the wildfires. We can see all the wildfires around the planet. It's all over the place. Now, we looked at Australia last time, and we can see a lot of smoke still from these wildfires on the east side. So they're still burning and making... I'm surprised there's not more smoke coming up all over the place around the world with all these wildfires. See, we can see the smoke just billowing from these fires here. There it is yesterday. So That's the 13th. My last report was on the 12th. So here's what it looked like on the 12th. So they're still going. I want to show you something else kind of weird. Zoom out. Watch this. If I go back, look at this. What is all this? This is missing data, or did the computer program screw up? Did the AI have a nervous breakdown? That was on the 18th. Here it is over here on the 17th. Over there. Here's the 16th. I don't get it unless the AI is having a problem. There's the 12th. It's the 16th. We've got this. That's crazy. Here's the 18th. So if you zoom in, there's just like no data with all those little stair steps. Like, what's that about? If anyone knows, leave it in the comments section. It's pretty crazy. And there it is today. Okay, let's look at earthquakes now. We're looking at USGS for the last 24 hours. There are 261 earthquakes worldwide, so you can see that the number of earthquakes are going down. Oh, now we got 262. Just had this one come up from, look at this one from Africa, 4.6 at Namibia at 620. Oh, a 2.9 just happened at Hawthorne, Nevada. So, here's the Greenland earthquake that came in today. We've had some Arctic earthquakes recently that have been, I've been reporting on them on my Subscribestar page, and I'm really interested in the Arctic earthquakes. So here it is. It was on land, a 4.0 near Resolute, Canada. This happened at 6:25 this morning. That was Pacific time, 20 kilometers deep, right next to Prince Regent Inlet. Right up here. There was one up here. It's off the map right now. We'll look at it in a minute. This big one off the Kamchatka Peninsula, Russia, 6.3, happened at 12:26 this morning, just after midnight, and it was very deep, 486 kilometers deep. Now this is in the Sea of Okhotsk, and these are the Kuril Islands. These are volcanic, and if you remember last summer, the Roanoke, I'm having a brain fart. Roanoke volcano blew up here June 22nd. It's one of these little islands. So this is an active area, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have some more stuff happen over here. Raikoki. Yes, it was the Raikoki. We've got some other large earthquakes that are going on. We had a 6.3 off the coast of Puerto Madero, Mexico last night. That was at 8:27 last night, and they've had another one there, 5.4, at 3:30 this morning. Then we've had over here Thailand, all right here in this area, we've had 5.7 near Kaloim Phra Kiat, Thailand. Yesterday, or today at 1:03 this afternoon. Then a 4.6 at 1:19, and then the 6.1 at 3:50, and a 4.5 at 5:14. So that's rocking over there. And then Africa, which they don't have a lot of earthquakes. They just had 2 today. One down here in Zimbabwe of 4.3 this morning. And then they just had this 4.6 at Namibia. Now I want to show you, before we go there, in the Southern California event area of Ridgecrest and Searles Valley, they've had 52 in the last 24 hours. I'm still tracking these. The number's been going up and down. And this morning there were 40. So they've gone up since this morning. Yesterday there were 59. The day before were 83. The day before that were 94. So it just depends on what's shaking. So between 50 and 100. So that's still moving. Now I'm going to turn on the last 7 days for all magnitudes. And we've got 2,316 earthquakes in the last 7 days worldwide, all magnitudes. So you can see that's been all on these lines. Here are some Arctic earthquakes. Here was one off the coast, just off the coast of Iceland. This one happened on November the 16th of 4.6. And then another one a little bit further south of 4.6 near Reykjanes Ridge on the 16th. That was all on the same day. Also, here's another Arctic earthquake up here. This one happened yesterday in the Arctic Ocean. I'm going to show you where this is. Here's Novaya Zemlya. This is the Kara Sea. So this was not very far from the North Pole. This yellow dot right on the near the red line. 4.6 north of Severnaya Zemlya. This came in yesterday at 3:33 in the afternoon. So the red lines are where the tectonic plates meet, and that's where you're going to have the most activity. But you'll have other activity that's not on the red lines, as you can see as well. And we can see all along the Aleutian Islands, a bunch of them up here in Alaska. Now if we zoom in to the United States, oh, that's a question mark. That one happened today at Perry, Oklahoma, a question mark. They don't know the magnitude. Okay. We can still see a lot of activity. Here's Yellowstone. Here's the Pacific Northwest. This is the Cascadia subduction zone. Here's the Juan de Fuca plate. We can see a lot of activity in these Aleutian Islands, all around these red lines. Here's Alaska. They have high activity up in Alaska. And we had look at all of the earthquakes up here in California, Northern California. We had some by Chico. We're having quite a few in the Reno area. There was a 2.1 just south of Reno. It says near Virginia City, but it was, I know exactly where this is. It's it was off of Geiger Grade, which is the road that goes up to Virginia City, and so it was just off of 395 there. I know exactly where that is. Here's Chico. They had 3 earthquakes, a 2.9, a 1.8, and a 2.8. They're saying at Hamilton City, but that was just west of Chico. This is the Oroville Dam. I've reported on that. And the earthquakes around there. Here's a couple just to the west of Lake Almanor. Here's some south of Redding. There was a 2.1 there. Here's one Bernie. I think that's up at Lassen. Here's a couple on this Fulcrum Point. And they've just been moving on down. Here's the geysers area, 156 this last week. So that's, their activity has come back. Remember, it went away for a while, but now that's back. We've had activity coming down through the valley areas. Here's the San Andreas fault line. All along the San Andreas fault line still. Here's Southern California with LA and San Diego, going down into Baja. And then here's the Searles Valley area. And I think the movement is actually spreading out. And then here's Mammoth Lakes. They had a swarm in the last few days right up here. There have been 177 here at Mammoth Lakes in the last week. But there was a swarm right here. Right there. 62. All in one place. So that's still swarming. So Mammoth Lakes has picked up. There's the 2.9 at Hawthorne, Nevada. So they're getting bigger too. 2.2 Alamo. 2.2 Austin. 2.0 Lovelock. Here's one just north of Pyramid Lake. And so on. So, and even though the number of earthquakes have gone down, I think that it's getting more and I think they're getting bigger in these areas here. See, we had one up there, Carrick, right next to, well, looks like right at the base of Mount Shasta is where that was. That's Mount Shasta. So there you have it. So that's our report for today. I hope everyone is doing well, and I do believe we are in the end times, and I always end my videos like this because we all need to be prepared for what's coming, and we can make physical preparations, but we mainly need to make spiritual preparations, because end times means the end. And I think we all need to have our spiritual houses in order. And if you haven't done so, I recommend you get right with God and Jesus, because no one knows the day or the hour. And you just don't know. And you need to finish up your relationships. And if you haven't talked to someone in a long time, and you feel like there's some wounds there, you need to heal those up, because now's the time. It's going to make a difference. In the long run, it's going to make a difference. Don't carry grudges. Forgive other people. Ask for forgiveness for yourself. And realize that when people, there's a lot of anger right now. There's so much anger, and it's because people feel hurt and betrayed. But God is the one with unconditional love, and if we can learn to walk the ways of Jesus and have love in our heart and learn to love unconditionally, then we'll be ready, more ready for when we leave this plane. So I love you guys. So until next time, God bless you, and go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon.